Hey, what's going on? James and Jay Kramer Fitness, protein review guy. Check this out. I got a tail. I'm a hedgehog. Today, we're going to go ahead and take a look at Sunwarrior Protein Classic Plus. So you may be wondering, is Sunwarrior Classic Plus worth your time, money, and shaker space? It's a fair question, and it's very legitimate. After all, clean labels and vegan blends are a buzzword war zone right now. First off, what Sunwarrior does well. The flavor is clean, approachable, not overly sweet, no chemical aftertaste. Mixability, it's impressive. Now, the packaging, branding, ingredient quality, you see the effort. There is the USDA Organic, all the badges flex. If you want powder that looks premium, Sunwarrior delivers the aesthetic. This is where things stop being pretty and starts getting real. The bag or the container totes a full amino acid profile, as shown right here. But if you do the math, adjust for digestibility, usable protein lands around 14 grams. That's just 1.4 grams of leucine. That's on the low side if your goal is recovery and hypertrophy. Now, transparency here is, kind of weak. There's zero publicly certificate of analysis or lab level data. The label talks, but the proof stays in the shadow. Now, there's this thing, there is a little Prop 65 lawsuit in heavy metals concern, hover over this brand. Marketing says clean, but legal action says hold your horses. Is Sunwarrior plant protein third party tested? Because if you believe the website, it sounds like the stuff is tested to the moon and back, but here's where the receipt says, Sunwarrior told me directly every batch gets tested twice. Once with the raw ingredients arrive and again after the final blend is made. They use Arl Biopharma, which is an ISO certified lab. On paper, that's legit. The problem, no certificate of analysis ever see the light of day. They keep them proprietary. Translation, you're trusting the word, not the data. Here's when the clean label halo starts to crack. In July 2025, CalSafe Research Center filed a Prop 65 lawsuit against 3 products offered by Sunwarrior, including this Classic Plus, organic active protein, and their collagen-building protein peptides, just in the churro flavor of all things. Nothing says fiesta like a side of lead exposure. Am I right? They are accused of exposing consumers of lead levels above California's 0.5 micrograms per day safe harbor limits without a single Prop 65 warning on the bag or online. That's a big no-no in California law, and that isn't just even their first rodeo. Back in 2023, Sunwarrior settled a similar Prop 65 case over its Beauty Greens collagen booster. They promised free formulation on clear warnings. Fast forward 2 years later, here we are again. Now let's go ahead and talk amino spiking. Sunwarrior claims each scoop gives you 17 grams of protein and 1.4 grams of leucine. On paper, that's all, but when you run the numbers, the leucine ratio looks like 10.6%, which is suspiciously high for a plant-based blend. Peer-reviewed research on plant proteins, like the study by Gorson et al. 2018 in amino acids, pegs multi-source vegan proteins closer to 7 to 9% leucine. So either this thing is engineered the most efficient plant blend in history, or the numbers are padded harder than my Amazon cart on Black Friday. And here's where the FDA loophole comes in. On the label, organic flavor is the second ingredient by weight. According to FDA 21 CFR 101.2, organic flavor is a catch-all term. It doesn't just have to disclose what's inside, it's just for flavoring. So this clean label actually tells you a very little about what making it taste this way. Now, is Sunwarrior definitely amino spike? Can't tell for sure. But we can say with 100% certainty the math doesn't add up. There's no third-party certificate of analysis verifying the protein in this thing, and an independent third party for their amino acid profile. Without that, transparency is mostly marketing gloss. All right, let's zoom out. Sunwarrior Classic Plus doesn't live in a vacuum. It's fighting for shelf space against other heavy hitters in the plant protein world. So how does this thing actually stack up against, other proteins such as Ritual, Orgain, and Truvani? All right, let's go ahead and get it off with this head-to-head against what really matters. Sunwarrior Classic Plus versus Ritual's Essential Protein. Two brands, two very different philosophies. Sunwarrior gives you 17 grams of protein per scoop, but once you adjust for digestibility, that's closer to 14 grams of actual usable protein. Ritual, they hit you with 20 grams on label. However, 17 grams of it is usable. Now, looking at the leucine, Sunwarrior sits at 1.4 grams per scoop. Ritual climbs to that 1.785 grams, which matters if you're chasing that muscle protein synthesis threshold. Translation, Ritual is the only one giving you the receipts. Now, looking at calories and macros, they stay lean on both. Sunwarrior scoops at 90 calories, $1.63 per serving. Ritual clocks in 120 calories and $3.27 per serving. That's nearly double for the cost for Ritual, but here's the trade-off. You're paying for proof, not promises. Sunwarrior is the budget-friendly everyday option. Ritual is a premium third-party verified choice. Look at it this way. One's a Toyota Corolla, the other was a Lexus IS. When you line up these two, Orgain and Sunwarrior, you're actually looking at two different philosophies of plant protein. Looking at the protein yield, Sunwarrior gives you 17 grams per scoop, which breaks down to about 14 grams usable. Orgain lists 21, but it's potentially closer at most 16 grams. Haven't reviewed that one yet, but once I do, I'll have it linked down below. Now, if you look at the carbs and fiber, Sunwarrior is lean at 4 grams of carbs and 1 gram of fiber. Orgain comes in a little heavier with 15 grams of carbs and 4 grams of fiber. Better for satiety, not so great if you're watching macros. Calories, you already know this, Sunwarrior comes in light. Orgain loads up to 150 kcals per serving. Finally, looking at the price per serving, Sunwarrior is $1.63, Orgain $1.55. Pretty much neck and neck. Think of it this way. Sunwarrior is your lean commuter bike, lightweight, efficient, no frills. Orgain is the budget SUV, heavier, bulkier, gets the family to soccer practice, but check under the hood and you'll notice it's running on marketing polish. All right, here we go. Final battle in the clean label darlings. Sunwarrior Classic Plus versus Truvani plant-based protein powder. On paper, both scream organic, vegan, non-GMO, all the feel-good badges. But when you peel the label back, the differences get obvious. Sunwarrior at least gives you a full amino acid profile on the tub. You already know 17 grams of protein, 1.4 grams of leucine, 3.2 BCAAs per serving. Once you adjust for the PDCAA adjustment, it's closer to 14 grams of usable protein. Truvani, they stick with the minimalist play, 20 grams per scoop on the label, 0 amino acid information, 0 leucine numbers, 0 third-party COAs. Both end up around 14 of real protein per serving, but only one even shows you the math. Now looking at the macros, Truvani runs a lot heavier, 130 calories, 3 grams, 2 grams of sugar. Now we're looking at the price per serving. Sunwarrior sits at $1.63. Truvani hikes it to $2.33. So what's the takeaway here? Sunwarrior is like the friend who never posts on Instagram but shows up in real life looking better than expected. Truvani, they're the influencer on TikTok with perfect filters and big reach. But half the time you're not sure what's real and what's good lighting. One's all glow up without the hype, the other one's all hype without the receipts. Let's go ahead and talk Amazon and Sunwarrior. This thing sits at 4 out of 5 stars, but the reviews are a civil war. Half the buyers think it's the cleanest plant protein ever made. The other half act like they've been personally victimized by stevia. This guy has. Here's a 5-star fan club. I love this stuff. I wanted something that doesn't taste horrendous, but is also packed with healthy, nutritious ingredients with no soy or high fructose corn syrup. The ingredients are organic, sprouted, and fermented. I use it as my breakfast in the morning. Another person shares, I kept coming back to Sunwarrior Classic, unflavored, simple, digestible, and tastes perfect in a smoothie. Finally, the third person shares that tastes natural with a slightly grainy, earthy flavor, which I like. If you're looking for something that tastes really good, eat a candy bar. You're not going to find it in this thing. Now, the 1-star Remorse Club. Vanilla has a very unpleasant stevia taste. It's difficult to mask in smoothies. Another person shared they ordered the unflavored, but it tastes like vanilla. I'm allergic to stevia. Finally, the taste is repulsive. You cannot return it once open. All right, let's break it down. 3 pros, 3 cons. Pros first, clean sourcing, organic, sprouted, fermented ingredients. For plant protein buyers, that's still a big selling point. Digestibility, lighter on the stomach compared to other blends, a win if you're struggling with gut issues. This thing also offers a lean profile at just 90 calories, 0 grams of sugar. It's one of the lowest calorie plant proteins out there. Now, here comes the cons. Badge gap. Sure, it's organic and vegan, but you don't see the big ticket badges like Clean Label Project, Informed Protein, or NSF. Compared to Truvani, Sunwarrior's marketing badges feel incomplete. Transparency concerns here. They print an amino acid profile on the tub, but there's no third-party COA to back it up. Without proof, it's just still marketing. Prop 65 litigation risk here. Sunwarrior has had multiple lawsuits over lead exposure. The issue hasn't been fully resolved. This isn't a nitpick, it's a trust problem. Sunwarrior markets Classic Plus like it's a pure natural way to fuel recovery. Yeah, on paper, it looks clean, but the question is one scoop enough to actually stimulate muscle protein synthesis after a workout? To flip the anabolic switch, you need about 25 grams of protein and 3 to 4 grams of leucine in the single shot of plant-based protein powder. That's not my opinion. That's backed by a 2024 peer-reviewed study by Lim et al., which showed that plant blends underperform until you hit that leucine threshold. One scoop of Classic Plus gives you 17 grams of protein, 1.4 grams of leucine on paper, but remember, there are some red flags here. Inflated leucine ratios, fillers hiding behind organic flavor, and there's no third-party verification on the protein content. So that means even if you do double scoop to chase muscle protein synthesis, you're still betting on numbers that may not be real. Here's the real scoop. 2.5 scoops gets you into that anabolic zone if the label is accurate. However, without verification, you could just be doubling down on fluff. All right, so let's just go ahead and build ourselves our Classic Plus plant-based protein by Sunwarrior. We're just gonna go ahead, do one vanilla boy scoop going in, plop. Let's go ahead, lock her up, shake. As you see, it's a little grainy, but if you look at this thing, it is super velvety, super smooth, no clumps on the shaker or even underneath the shaker spout. Now, let's go ahead and do the Sunwarrior Protein Classic Plus Vanilla taste test. Cheers. So just to verify for you anti-stevia people like myself, stevia is listed on here at the very bottom of the ingredient list. However, the sweetness comes in sharp, but it doesn't come in overly medicinal. It's very serviceable. Looking at the body of the shake, there is that grainy, earthy texture and taste, but it's very serviceable. If you were to go ahead and mix this in as a mixer with like yogurts, smoothies, oatmeal, or even baking, I think it'll come out just perfect. I think this is one of the better tasting plant-based protein powders that you can buy. It's not clumpy. And then on top of that, it's very smooth and it's very thin. So this is very doable. I think the question I would ask myself, would I buy this again? No problems buying this again. Now, Sunwarrior markets this thing like it's a clean organic champion in the plant protein space. USDA Organic badge, check. No gums, no dairy, no soy, no mystery ingredients. To a certain degree, check. But on paper, it screams best in class, but there's always the twist to the ending. Being organic doesn't automatically mean being the best. Remember, this is the same protein powder sitting under a Prop 65 lawsuit for lead exposure, innocent until proven guilty. Clean marketing doesn't always equal clean results. While Sunwarrior brags about its amino profile, those numbers still don't have a third-party receipt. So is this thing the best? That depends on what you're chasing. If best means shortest, cleanest label and organic stamp to show your friends, this thing really does make a strong case to be purchased. But if best means verify leucine data, third-party transparency, and guaranteed protein quality, Sunwarrior is still stuck in a runner's-up lane. So, who is this thing really for? Honestly, it's for the casual buyer. If you want an easy USDA organic vegan shake that mixes smooth and doesn't taste like dirt, this protein's got you covered. The flavor and mixability are the biggest wins, but let's zoom out for a competitor recap because we stack this thing against 3 other big players in the market. Looking at Ritual Protein, the premium pick with third-party receipts, more leucine but double the price tag. Orgain Plant Protein, the meal replacement SUV, heavier on carbs and fiber, built for satiety, not speed. Then finally, Truvani, the Instagram darling, great branding, but no amino profile receipts and a big old Prop 65 warning tag on the back. Now, when you compare Sunwarrior Classic Plus against those, I think it sits right behind a Ritual protein powder in second place. Not flashy, not premium, but serviceable. Add in the price factor, the protein should be on your list for value and price. So the final score here, 30 out of 50, 60%. It's serviceable because cracks outweigh the shine. The mixability and clean label are great, but inflated leucine math, missing third-party COAs, and an ongoing Prop 65 lawsuit drag this thing down. Is it worth the price of admission? At about $1.63 a scoop, yes. If you're just after a daily organic shake that won't fight your blender. But if you're serious about recovery, transparency, and muscle growth, better verified proteins are waiting in the aisle. Now, if you want the full story I couldn't pack into this video, like the deep dive into Prop 65 lawsuit, amino spiking, red flags, and the protein yield across different flavors, check out my full written review over at jkramerfitness.com. That's where I can lay out all the citations, lab data, and comparisons I had to trim from this YouTube review. Thanks for making it into another video, and as always, make it a great day.